Hey everybody, today we're going to continue with the 3Racing crawler kit, and we're going to be working on the rear axle today. As you can see, I have all the parts already laid out, so let's get started. The rear axle is a lot like the front axle with a lot fewer parts, so it's going to go quickly. Here we go. I'm going to start with the housing, and we're going to put a bearing in the front, bearing inside, and we're going to put this spiral gear through just like that. Next, we're going to build the draft shaft, and we start with this. Going to put a flathead screw from behind. Like that. Next, we're going to put this roller inside with the hole sticking out upwards, and then we're going to put this sleeve on top and push a pin right through it. Hopefully we get it right through. All right, just like that. And make sure it goes all the way through to the other side as well. There you go. All right, so on each side there's a hole, and this side is bigger and it's also threaded. Same with this piece right here. You want to make sure the larger hole matches up with the larger hole, because we're going to put a set screw through here once we have threaded it onto the axle. Just like that. I think I have everything lined up perfectly. Let me push that through. And tighten that. All right, we're ready to go with that piece. Next, we're going to build this spiral gear and this solid axle. And it mounts on to here like that, and it takes the remaining 3 flathead screws from the opposite side and we're going to slip 2 bearings, one on each side, and this is ready. Next step is to drop the spiral gear into the housing, and make sure you put plenty of ceramic grease onto the face of the gear, and make sure both bearings are on the gear itself. And all you have to do is drop it in. Now we're going to close it up, and we're going to take these 10 screws, and when you're done, it looks just like this, pretty scale. Next, we're going to put what they call a axle wall tubing. Make sure the screw hole side is up, and we're going to put 4 of these 6mm screws, and this is actually a 1.5mm. Right, when you're done, it should look something like this. Let me go ahead and do the other side before I drop the universal in. Next, we're going to drop the universal in. And it just needs to index properly. Like that. And I'm going to slip a bearing on. That's very important, don't forget. And then we're going to put on the rear axle hub. They are identical, so it doesn't matter which one you choose. But you do want these 2 ears here to face towards that direction, in the same direction as your drive shaft. So we need 2 8mm screws to fasten that. And make sure you put the outside bearing as well, all the way in, just like that. Let me do the other side. And finally, to finish the axles, we're going to put on the disc brake and calipers. First, we push in that pin, and we make sure the wheel hex or the brake disc here indexes properly onto that pin. And then we're going to line up the caliper with those two screw holes like that. And we're going to drive it in with these 1.5 millimeter screws. Okay, did it properly. The disc should spin freely from the caliper. Shouldn't be any binding at all. So we're done with the front axle. Let's build the links and install it onto the chassis. The rear axle uses 4 links using the same rod end. So let's start with putting all the set screw through 8 of these rod ends. Right, and the next step is to put the rod ends onto the link itself. Then we're going to put ball ends onto the link. There's one. There we go. We need to build 4 of these. Next step is to put on both of the 55 millimeter, which is the shorter of the links. I'm going to put both of them, and they're going to go like this right there. There you go. Next step, we're going to put the links onto the shock base mount right here, and it's going to go onto this hole right over there. And we're going to use 12 millimeter screws and attach this from this side. Actually, we're going to go from the link side and then into the shock mount itself. And you want to make sure you put the link on first before you attach it to the axle, because otherwise the axle itself is going to interfere with you putting on the screws. So just like that, and then we're going to put 2 10 millimeter screws right there. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing on this side. When you're done, the 4 links should look like this. All right, before we mount the rear axle, let's take a look what we're going to be doing. Make sure the axle is facing down, meaning these links right here are on the bottom. We're going to be connecting the drive shaft with this spline here, and we're going to put some masking tape to prevent it from coming off. I'm going to put these links. We're going to be connecting it to the side rail here, and there's a flange here from the skid plate, and these 2 links are going to come here and mount here onto the skid plate itself. So first, I'm going to put the spline inside the drive shaft. Going to lay that in there and connect that. I'm going to extend it a little bit and then put that tape around it. All right, there we go. And we're going to connect the links to the side rails first. Let me flip those over. So we're going to be connecting these 2 first. And these links mount with an 18 millimeter screw, which is the longer of the 2 remaining sets, and also a nut on the other side. There we go. Let's do the other side. And finally, we're going to put the 64 millimeter links, the longer ones, onto the skid plate, and it goes on with the remaining screws. So I removed the tape from the drive shaft and we're done. Next video, we're going to be building the shocks. That's always going to be fun. If you like this video, please drop it a like. Subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.